Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel, where we bring you in-depth critical reviews on every indie game we can get our hands on. And even though I've actually done over 130 video game reviews in only the last 9 months, I'm always surprised when I find a game that seems to have an amazing premise, really good art, and a professional soundtrack, but still somehow comes up short. And in today's review looking at Neonwall, we might just discover how that happens. Neonwall, besides having some really great 3D trailer footage, does have a pretty cool premise that's based very tightly on Tron. So if you're an 80s kid or you just enjoyed the remake, you're probably already going to have a little bit invested in this game. Starting off the story though, we see our classic main character walking into an 80s pinball arcade during a lightning storm. And as we all know from any 80s campy sci-fi movie, if a video game gets struck by lightning while you're playing it, you get zapped into the game world. And accordingly in Neonwall, we've been zapped into this pinball game world where we've been given 2 different colored laser pistols as well as a somewhat Samus-like morph ball. And the only thing we can really assume at this point is that somehow these pistols and this ball are going to be integral to us getting back to the real world. In the earliest portions of the game, we're introduced to a few levels that require us to use one of only a handful of very simple game mechanics. And that is the fact that the ball will automatically roll forward, but that in its multicolored environment of reds, greens, blues, and yellows, the ball will roll faster if it matches the color of the tiles in the field, and much slower if it doesn't. The next element of the game, however, are the L and R triggers, which can be used to change the color of the ball depending on the color of the pistol on the right or left side of the screen. So for example, if your left pistol is red and you need to turn the ball red for a red area of track, you'll need to hit the L button. Accordingly, if the right side pistol is the color that you need, you'll need to hit the R button. Additionally, somewhat later in the game, the actual LZ and RZ triggers are included, which can be used to manipulate or destroy certain elements of the map itself. However, these again, like the color of the ball being necessary to change to maneuver through certain portions of the track, elements of the map can only be manipulated or destroyed by the pistol that is that matching color. However, every time you use a pistol to change the color of the ball, the pistol's color swaps as well. So in many areas of the track, you'll need to be able to balance what color the ball is as well as which color each of your pistols are in order to navigate map elements. And if this already sounds like it's getting a bit confusing, it's actually pretty simple as far as gameplay is carried out, but simple definitely does not mean easy. And one of the biggest reasons for the difficulty isn't actually the complicated level designs, it's the way the game's controlled. Though you can actually play this game in tabletop, handheld, or docked modes, you'll be encouraged to play with the Joy-Cons using their 3-axis control systems to guide each of the laser pointers on screen. However, if you are a fan of the Switch or you've played anything trying to use the Joy-Cons as little laser pointers, you're probably already aware of their general inaccuracies and how much they tend to float around. And though using the organic haptic feedback of the individual Joy-Cons is difficult, using the twin sticks on a Pro controller isn't really much better. But despite the flaws in the game's controls increasing the difficulty level for the player, Neonwall does actually provide you with a handful of lives at the start of every level. However, despite this being a slightly physics-based puzzle platformer, not every level is even played the same way. Advertised as 3 different gaming modes, Neonwall actually provides 3 different types of levels for the player to solve. And these are the puzzle, the time trial, and the runner. The puzzler requiring you to just complete the level and giving you multiple lives as well as checkpoints, the time attack requiring you to get to each different checkpoint within a certain amount of time, and the runner style forcing you to complete the entire puzzle in one go without dying. And while providing 3 different types of puzzles for the player to complete, it would have actually been a lot more helpful if they did assign it as 3 different gaming modes. Because there's really no reason that any of these time limits or constraints couldn't be put on any one of these puzzles, depending on the player's gaming preferences. But despite the difficulty actually imposed by the control dynamics and forcing the players to play through different type of puzzle scenarios, there is actually one other element of the game that really does stand out as kind of a bigger flaw. The music of the game is professionally developed and it sounds really good, but there doesn't really seem to be a rhythm or rhyme or reason for how it's employed in what levels or what the general mood of the game is intended to be. Playing through different levels or even the same level back to back, you can experience kind of a lo-fi jazz, which keeps the game's environment calm and collected and helps you solve the puzzles, and the very next minute be thrown into an adrenaline-fueled beat that just hypes up the tension of the game. And as this is a fairly intense puzzle game with a high difficulty level, a more mellow beat that would have helped the player stay calm and collected would have been really appreciated. But overall, the game does have a surprisingly good premise and really beautifully rendered graphics, and is generally just a really great concept for a game. However, the difficulty in actually controlling the game and its kind of sporadic music and overall feel really do inhibit the player's experience quite a bit. And on a personal note, I really did want to enjoy this game, and I do hope that the developer patches some of this stuff, because it really could have been, or maybe even in the future could be, a pretty solid game. But anyway, that does about wrap up the review of Neonwall now on the Switch, so if you enjoyed the review or found it helpful, feel free to throw me a comment or a like to show your support, and don't forget to click that little bell icon when you subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. There are new and unique indies coming out literally every single single day. So there's always going to be something new to find right here. But anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.